Hey guys, what's up and welcome to my channel. If you don't already know me, my name is Leanne and we are here doing the Sagittarius reading. So, let's just get into it. We're going to look at your tarot cards. We're going to look at the person that you are dealing with and get some oracle cards and everything and kind of figure out what's going on. So, first things first, we have the Two of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles. Some of you guys could be actually becoming very independent from a situation right now. This could also be you becoming very invested in your own self-care and prioritizing your well-being, your emotional health, your mental health, and your happiness, you know? There might be kind of a vibe here of having tried to do so many different things, hold up so many different people, smile the whole way through it, kind of like try not to let life get you down, try not to, react to it. And maybe this vibe of like staying strong, trying to stay strong for everyone, for like the benefit for that it brings to everyone else. But then there's this really big pullback of like, hey, we need some internal balance here, and there seems to be a recognition that balance is helpful for everyone. Maybe in the sense that like you're included in that everyone. You're also someone. So let's see what is or was happening that is kind of in your current energy. Okay, so Six of Cups, that's a past energy, that's a past person. This is actually a child's hand right here, and an adult's hand too, and they're kind of like coming together in this glowy orb of, love or protecting a heart space, So I feel like right now you could be in a situation where you're prioritizing, like the way that this self-care is coming out is that you're prioritizing your time one-on-one with maybe someone younger than you. Or maybe you're the younger person and you're trying to receive that compassion and connection and empathy from someone else. I think that if that's what you're going through right now, it does seem like your self-care is paying off and it is leading you to the feelings that you are trying to prioritize, like feeling happiness, feeling in control of what you have control over, stuff like that. If this is a past situation that kind of propelled you to look at your self-care, I think that maybe something that you realized was that there was some like difficult things to look at where maybe you felt like your inner child was really in pain or hurting from something. And whatever had happened kind of made you look at some previous wounds that maybe you didn't feel like you were able to look at. That could also be happening right now, but I think it feels a lot more graceful right now. If this is something that you're an energy you're invested in, and where you're headed towards, it seems like a lot more consciousness is brought in, where that that's what you're creating instead of like needing things to be all good and then realizing that maybe they're not and then kind of busting apart at the seams when that happens. It does seem like you're trying to be very methodical and deliberate about bringing in true joy and a sense of relief and a sense of balance into your life. And how do you feel about all this? Okay, yeah, you're feeling pretty good. You feel pretty balanced. You could also notice that you are trying to handle things by yourself, but not in a way where you feel like you're taking all the burden alone. So I do think that you're trying to be emotionally and kind of like spiritually responsible. And maybe that has you isolating a little bit. Maybe that has you kind of like really holding your tongue with some people, and then really like opening up in safer places where you know that growth and transformation and, you know, those things can happen, because you're going to have empathy. You're going to have compassion in those places, and then kind of like clamming up with other things. You could also just notice yourself like singing more or making like funny noises, you know, like maybe some of you guys experience, what is it, echolalia, or just kind of like parroting. um, let's see. I feel like that feels good, but it feels like a really heavy journey to go through, but you're getting through it, you're moving through it, you're navigating it, you're learning it piece by piece. I don't think that it feels overwhelming. I think the growth feels good. Okay, and what are you walking into here? New vision, Hanged Man. So it seems like your hard work's really paying off here, Sag. It seems like there's things that you're trying to really balance here. And because you are able to prioritize the reason they were imbalanced, which was that you weren't a part of that vision of balance, things are now becoming a lot more clear. And then we have the Hermit on the bottom. We also have the Nine of Pentacles here. So it does seem like there is a lot of shadow work that you're realizing and that you're gaining in, like when you can realize, you know, where your ego is not really helping you, and where you can realize like, hey, I do need to kind of address this or speak up for myself or reassess, you know, maybe at times if you feel stuck. It looks like you're really trying to do your due diligence there and like let your guard down and figure out, you know, hey, what's a way where I can be fair to myself too here, like where I can feel good, where I can receive that. Nines are heavily regarded in tarot as the number where it's you got to do it alone. There's not really getting around that. It's just a very internal and usually like spiritual process. And if that doesn't resonate, the spiritual part, it's just where, you know, some seasons of your life you can call someone and be like, hey, can you do this for me? Like, hey, I need you to, you know, to assume responsibility for this, this, and this. This is one of those seasons where it's actually just your responsibility to learn how to manage it. And that can feel quite painful because you're kind of fighting yourself in a sense by trying to do it all. You need to delegate out things and set boundaries that are actually other people's responsibilities, while also realizing, hey, that pressure I was putting on myself to do it all, that's back, but in a healthy way now. And I need to like remind myself of that. You know, when it starts to feel like it's a lot, there might be kind of some just patterns that you feel you're slowly and kind of painfully breaking out of, but they actually like really aid your growth. And you feel better when you can acknowledge what's happening and what wants to change in order for you to just feel better and like to function smoother, you know? So I do actually want to get one clarifier on this Hanged Man energy. Sorry, I just realized I was shuffling in frame, and so it was probably going haywire with the focus. Okay, so for the Hanged Man, the Two of Pentacles would change. So what you're coming into is this energy where you're needing to make a decision on how to balance something out. It comes with kind of trying to see that what you pick up might not always be imbalanced when you pick it up, but learning to balance it out so that you can maintain your balance, or sorry, learning to maintain your own balance within it is kind of like the theme of your season right now. Is how much can I be the calm in my own storm? How much can I, when this gets overwhelming, how much can I pull back and do something that really benefits me? You know, like, how can I live with my circumstances even when they get overwhelming? Or at least find the wisdom to do that so that I can regain clarity of what I'm going to do next within that situation, instead of just like reacting to a situation and wanting to change it right then and there. It's kind of like taking a step back and going, how can I change something within myself so that my vision changes of this situation? And then I'm able to make balanced decisions moving through it so that I can stay in balance. There's a lot of like boundary setting that I think is going to take place here. And I wonder if maybe one of the boundaries you have up right now is that you can remove your energy and you can isolate and you can reclaim your independence, but maybe having those harder conversations like, hey, you know, I'm feeling drained by this. I need to take a step back from it. And I want it to be good, and I want to support you and I want to be here through, you know, in a happy and healthy way. But I'm finding that I'm actually needing to take some time for myself right now. I wonder if maybe those conversations are difficult right now. But maybe those are the ones that you're finding you're needing to have. We have Teacher. Ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. Okay, and then the Shadow attribute, manipulating or abusing students, teaching negative traits, and destructive skills. Okay, so something that might really come to light here is that you might notice, Saggy, how validating it can feel and how much it can actually shift your energy in something when you just own your own feelings in something. And you can say, hey, this is how I'm feeling and this is what I'm needing in order to do my best job here and to give what's best for this. This is what I'm needing. I wonder if maybe it's been coming out as, you know, maybe blaming or whatever and putting it on someone else, or even getting so frustrated that you're kind of like, you're just upset with someone else for who they are and how they are. And that's kind of just like a cycle of frustration. And if you're cross-watching, I wonder if maybe this is something that you've been noticing, you know, but kind of you see it's in process of something and you don't want to interrupt that process, you know. And you might be kind of confused as to what's going on. But I do feel like, Saggy, you could be experiencing an energy where just noticing what you need and saying it is actually a lot more difficult That vulnerability seems really difficult, but it actually feels better, because when you are taking ownership for how you're feeling and you're saying, I need space, you're able to say, I'm kind of neutrally approaching this, and like, I'm having a problem, I'm owning the problem, but I'm also asking for what I need to help fix the problem. And kind of, I'm just asking for grace and support to be able to do that. I don't really need anyone to do more or to do less. I just need them to respect my boundaries. I wonder if that's something that feels really good for you, but can sometimes be quite difficult to manage, to have that conversation before there's something else that comes out, because you do have this tendency, and we all really do this, is to take on so much and then not really know how to ask for help when your ship is sinking, or know that you can kind of ditch some things and say, you guys all now need to, half of you need to go and find your own ship because it's too much weight on me. And like, this is what I'm rated for, and this is what I can do, but I can't really do more than that. And like, kind of with love, I'm sorry, but this is what needs to happen. So, yeah. The other thing is, I feel like, sorry, I'm kind of like slowly going into this. I know Sagis don't love like having long drawn out things about this. It's just kind of like, I'm earth energy, y'all are fire energy. I know sometimes I can kind of be like, even in the back of my mind right now, I'm going, speed it up, Leanne. But I just want to hit on this idea that maybe what you're kind of feeling like you're missing is validation that things are heavy and they're allowed to be, that it is too much, and that's not a you problem. There's a solution that you can engage so that things are not too much for you personally. And that is that's the truth of it, not that you can't do it all and you're a failure. You can't show up for everyone and yourself. You should be able to. Like, that's not what it is. I wonder if maybe kind of being like, I've taken on so much and I deserve that attention to what's going on in my life. That would actually relieve a lot of stress. Like, that those things might be really helpful, and kind of more in your natural Saggy element of wanting to share your wisdom and wanting to be there for others, but just in a healthier way, and then like, things don't really have to fall apart and get mended. You can just set your limits when like, okay, I'm not a POS because I didn't do the dishes today. I'm not a failure because I can't do my laundry. I'm not, I'm not like a bitch because I didn't know how to have that conversation professionally or something. Like, instead of being like, oh, I'm judging myself for what I'm not able to do, I think that what this season of life really wants to teach you and show you is possible moving forward is that it's possible when you start getting overwhelmed and when you start experiencing burnout, or you start noticing you're anxious or you're getting depressed, that instead of kind of like stinging yourself, it's okay to say, if these are my reactions to my environments, something's not functional for me in that environment. I'm allowed to figure out what it is, and I'm allowed to set boundaries and prioritize my own needs in that situation too. I am allowed to choose who I want to be and how I want to show up to the things that I truly am invested in. Like, I like when people say, you don't get an award for being overworked. You don't get an award for how much stress you put on yourself. You're never going to get praise for having burnout episodes one after the other because of how much you were doing. Like, the truest rewards come from you prioritized what was necessary with wisdom, and then you dealt with it, and that's great, you know. All right, so who you're dealing with, you've got the King of Swords. Maybe you're dealing with an air sign side. The Six of Wands, which is the Six of Swords. The Star. Okay. The Ace of Fire. And the Jester of Fire, which is what is there? Jesters and hang on, let me see. I think the Jesters are the pages. Yeah, and the strangers are the knights. Okay, so the Page of Wands and the Ace of Wands. So, Saggy, who you're dealing with right now, and you also have the Hermit on the bottom here. First of all, they could be an artist. You could kind of lean more on the psychedelic side, or even the explorative of the mental aspects of the mind, or the more creative, like problem solving, stuff like that, like adding art with like logic, like getting really creative about how you approach a situation and solve a situation, and having your artsy side kind of come out, or your creative side come out more in that realm. And the person that you're dealing with could actually have it come out on paper, or in a form of art that is like something that could be entertainment, you know. So let's break this down. Let's get some clarifiers, because there's a lot of energy here, and let's use our clarifiers to kind of figure this out. I do think that whoever you're dealing with has resources that they know to not tax themselves. They know to use a resource before taking it on themselves. And I think that could be where you differ from them, you know? And where you guys have different ways of going about things. So maybe on your side, this can translate as you looking like, I'm doing so much and no one's helping. And on their side, you can kind of interpret that as you're not doing anything. And when you're minorly stressed, you take a break. Like, what the heck, you know? And I think it's just like you guys are coming from opposite spectrums of what is my responsibility here. And maybe there's kind of a balance in the middle. Maybe it's not that one of you or the other has it like really mastered. Maybe they're kind of teaching you to lighten your load, and you're teaching them to deal with certain things that they do need to deal with, that like would be their responsibility, and that, you know, are good for them to look at. So we have the Prince of Pentacles, which is the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so this person is moving forward with skilled communication, is just kind of what I'm seeing. They're trying to see things from an overall perspective, where they are considering kind of the whole ecosystem of what's going on. Right now, they're looking at things like it's not a great environment altogether. There's certain things that really do need to be tweaked. So maybe they're experiencing some stress. of what's going on. And kind of like pulling their energy back a little to be like, this, like, I see too many things that make me uncomfortable. I would like to either address them or remove my energy, you know? I do want to ask, like, how do you feel about that? Let's figure out how you feel about that. The Eight of Pentacles. So you seem to be like, let's work on it. Let's do something. Let's make a plan. I'm ready to do that. They're wanting something to heal. And that's maybe some things that have gone unaddressed. Maybe they do have some worry. Maybe there's medical complications happening. Five of Pentacles often indicates just there's someone who needs extra resources, and a lot of the times that translates to like health concerns or trauma, or you know, like hey, I really can't do this on my own. I'm gonna just keep spinning in circles if I do that. Hold on, a bunch of my cards fell. Definitely a great day to wear a giant puffy jacket that gives me limited mobility in this chair. Okay, so yeah, so they're kind of worried about they're healing some kind of worry about medical concerns and stuff. They're wanting to work on that they're saying, this is my priority right now. Maybe they're, you know, like noticing that they have some health concern. Maybe they're noticing that their energy is lower, like they're experiencing a lot of anxiety or depression. Whatever it is, they're saying, this is where I set a boundary so that I can prioritize my health. How do you feel about that? Ace of Swords, consciousness. I think that you feel like it offers a lot of clarity as to what's happening. And maybe, I don't know if they've told you this or not, that they have these concerns, but I do feel like there's a big part of you that's receptive to that and saying like, okay, that would stress anyone out, you know? Now that I know, I can be more supportive of that. And, you know, like, I can also prioritize this with you. Let me make sure that that's what's going on. Ace of Cups. Yeah. Ace of Swords, Ace of Cups. You guys are, you're like, look, my end all be all in life is to just be around people and be a good influence, be a good person to be around, you know, like long term. You seem like you're really trying to hold space for this person, and you're trying to be empathetic, and you are trying to be receptive to what they're trying to say. You're trying to listen. Okay, so it seems like the communication is either good right now, or there's a foundation here that would allow it something good to come from this conversation, where I think that like you're trying to pull back. And something I automatically notice when this comes out up here is that you're so willing to deal with this. So let me just pull a card and see, how does that go with you? Three of Cups. Yeah. So the trade-off is like, is this taking on too much for you? Are you still able to prioritize your own stuff that you're needing to work through? And I think that this is someone that where you can do that. I would be worried that you're saying yes to someone that maybe you need to say, oh, that might be something that you work through, you know, alone. But what you're validating in them seems to be, no, you don't have to work through that alone. And, you know, I'm on the other side of this. I do want to offer support. I I can manage that, or I'm happy to learn to try. So it seems like there's a collaborative effort here. And what I noticed though is that if this conversation hasn't taken place, there's some kind of a foundation to be able to do that. To where that can happen. So we have the Princess of Swords, which is the Page of Swords, with the Ace of Fire. So they're wanting, let me grab one more. They're wanting to start something new, or kind of like, maybe this is them wanting to focus on passion. But what you might notice from your person, Sag, is that their passion comes a lot from conversation. Like us being on the same page and like being able to talk openly about what's going on and then perform those actions, like that's your person's bread and butter. And then you have Princess of Cups with the Page of Wands. So they're kind of saying, like, if you can meet me in this space, if you can meet me in this headspace where we get on the same page and then we make a plan and then we execute the plan, I am going to come towards you more lovingly, more affectionately. I'm also going to kind of like, you know, wait, let me get one more for them. Let me get one more in clarity for them and see what's going on. Strength. That's exactly what this felt like. I'm also going to have this grace for myself to overcome an energy of struggling with this stuff when it comes up. Like if you provide the space for us to make a plan because I'm overwhelmed with something that is going on between us, the reward for that will be so significant. It will feel like the floodgates of what I am willing to give to you will be open. And I think that that's, what they're trying to plan for. How are you responding to this? Because that matters. Letting go, 8 of Cups. So you're walking away from that offer. So for whatever reason, Sag, you've decided that's not worth my time. You feel like it's not an equal give and take. And so you're going to try doing something else that feels more equal give and take to you. So you're wanting to say, I don't think that I need to give you something for you to give me that. There's something going on there that feels maybe unfair. And maybe something that you notice, Sag, is that you're experiencing coming back to an older thing, an older issue that you're really realizing, where people didn't come to you halfway, or they overpromised that they would meet you in the middle and then they just didn't. Like, you've been manipulated. It's hard to take someone's word that like things can be contingent, or maybe you had a parent that kind of like played around with how much love they would give you based on what you could give them, and that felt really unfair. There's something going on that's coming up for you where you're actually triggered by this, and it's good. It's good. Like, triggers are good. They point us to where we need to go. I think maybe something that's happening is that while you would want to meet this person halfway, what they're asking you to do doesn't feel realistic to you, and you're trying to set a boundary and say, no, that's actually not okay with me. For whatever reason, my answer is no. So it's like the intentions are good on both ends, But actually executing that plan actually seems dangerous for you. And you're trying to come up and say, that's not something that feels good or safe for me. So, let's get an oracle card, because whenever there's something big happening, big decisions, big emotions, whatever, I think it's good to just like go to a resource that can be here. Look at this, Start Fresh, Chickweed, and it's page 16. So let's read that and see what we can find. And I want to say, I wonder, Sag, if something's happening where you're kind of like thrust into this spiritual, awakening, or this really you're needing to process some kind of trauma that's happened to you. And one of the ways that you can lean into this, taking self-care, taking that space seriously for yourself and setting boundaries, is you can validate that within yourself. You can say, no, that's not something I can do. And then you can figure out why. Like you can validate that something's happened to you and you haven't had the time or energy or understanding on how to process it. And now that it's kind of right in front of you, your self-care would recognize that that's another part of you to love. It's not a part that needs to keep getting dismissed, because it wasn't you wanting to dismiss it in the beginning, right? It was someone dismissing it so much that it convinced you it was just better for everyone and for the way of life that you dismiss it, that you begin to dismiss it yourself. And so I want to just highlight that while there might be an issue with someone and you might not really know what to do about it, there is a lot of grace in giving yourself compassion when you're ready to face something. And one thing that's not super helpful to have on board is to feel a bunch of guilt about why you can't do something that someone's asking you to, but instead to just be realistic about, I actually can't do that. And like, if you need someone who can do that, then I get that. But, to kind of be like, it's not, I just want to make it clear, like, don't feel guilty for setting a boundary. Actually, let me say it this way. Instead of feeling guilty for telling someone no or not feeling like you're meeting them halfway, let yourself understand it's healthy to set a boundary, and that is how you make someone meet you halfway. Especially if you're a Sagittarius that has a lot of words, but none of them lately have or historically have seemed to go in the way of, I'm feeling drained, I need to step back, this makes me feel terrible, but this is something that I need to function. That part of your brain is really getting kind of like rewired right now. Chickweed sings of bright beginnings, and it is you taking responsibility for yourself. So you're not responsible for meeting all that other person's needs. You're going to be responsible for making sure that you're meeting yours right now. Chickweed sings of bright beginnings, welcoming you to your path. Her tiny star-like flowers whisper, it's time. Not sure you're ready? No worries. Gently, she'll break cells open, renewing energy in life. Chickweed reminds you, wherever you are is a fine place to begin. She'll joyously demonstrate by tumbling from any possible place for new growth, from neglected farmstead flower pots to abandoned urban planters. She chips away at old ideas on a foundational level, opening your internal windows to let in fresh thoughts, sloughing off what no longer serves. What's keeping you from making the changes you crave? Perhaps you've been hauling around slowly accreted, slowly accreted insecurities, or anger's quicksilver flame. See who you are without those burdens, she suggests, smiling as she guides you to begin. Notice the micro world. Like many tiny treasures, chickweed is easily overlooked. In honor of chickweed, spend time noticing the micro world. Sometimes it's the smallest things that make the biggest impact. Broaden your field of attention to include the tiny... I already can't talk today. This is like cotyledons, pushing up in early spring, and the flecks of mica decorating the face of a boulder. Notice the myriad spots on a butterfly's wings, the tiny seed-like capsules called sori on the underside of a fern's leaf, the shifting colors in the sands on a beach. Listen for the small sounds, the rustle of a bird's wings and the click-clack of a squirrel breaking open acorns. In this way, you'll train yourself to pay attention to the subtler currents of not only the world around you, but also your own life. Look for little stars. It's easy to figure out the best way to move forward when life gives you big, flashy signposts, but it can be harder when the path seems mundane and mapped by only the smallest of lights. Chickweed reminds you to look for those small lights. Her Latin name, Stellaria, means little star. What little stars are you ignoring as you search for floodlights and fireworks? What bright beginnings are moldering as you wish for something bigger? Is the trail unspooling at your feet while you have your eye on a distant horizon? That my complicated life could be made so simple was astounding. Cheryl Strayed from Wild. That my complicated life could be made so simple was astounding. Yeah. So that's what I see for you guys. I'm going to leave it right there. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in another video. Bye.